afternoon, everyone, and welcome here to the Sugarman Sports Complex in Fort Lee, New Jersey, as we're getting ready for this Big North Showdown between the Teaneck Highwaymen and the Fort Lee Bridgemen in high school boys baseball action. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Long. So glad that you could join us here on this Friday afternoon. Two teams that are brimming with confidence right now in this point of the season. Teaneck coming in on a three-game win streak after they swept away their last opponent in Teaneck the last back-to-back games. And Fort Lee also victorious in their last two meetings with Dwight Morrow, a team that bested Teaneck to begin the season in the season opener. But this Teaneck side, 7-8 on the season, led by head coach Michael Apreda. They're having that enjoyment of a season-best three-game win streak. They began their season 1-5, but have gone 6-3 in their last 9 games, and they have had outstanding pitching as a key cog of those wins. In their three-game win streak, they defeated Paramus 4-1 on April 28th, defeated Teaneck 2-1 on May 3rd, and then another one-run victory against the Tigers of Teaneck 4-3 on May 4th. So they come in trying to look to extend their season-best win streak to potentially 4 games. And for the Bridgemen, again, after a tough start to the season, they have now secured their back-to-back victories in divisional play in the American Division of the Big North Conference, defeating Dwight Morrow here at home 12-4 on May 1st, and then going to Englewood and handing the Maroon Raiders an 8-7 defeat on Wednesday. So now Fort Lee is going to be trying to make it 3 straight wins this season, coming back here at home. Fort Lee is led by their head coach, Pete Kraujic, and he's going to be trying to turn the tide against Teaneck, a team that Fort Lee lost to on May 12, 2022. That was the last meeting as Teaneck won that game 8-0 at home. The key for the Bridgemen usually is getting off to a quick start, especially offensively, as now we know that Teaneck is going to be coming in here with a very good and competent pitching staff, a team ERA of 4.47. So Fort Lee's going to have to find a way to generate the runs that they scored in the last couple of games, a pair of wins against Dwight Morrow when they went for 20 total runs over the course of 2 games. Today's Fort Lee lineup, Marcus Lee is going to be leading off and playing at shortstop. Luke Senator is the first baseman, hitting second. Keizo Katayama will be the center fielder, hitting third. Franco Rosario will be pitching and hitting fourth. Jack Dorcom will be the DH and hitting fifth. Brandon Burrito will be hitting sixth and playing at third base. Ruben Mansilla will be the right fielder and hitting seventh. Max Greenberg will be hitting eighth and playing in second base. And Emmanuel Perez will be hitting ninth and playing in left field. Towing the rubber here today as the starting pitcher will be Franco Rosario, as Rosario has been pitching to a 7.00 ERA this season. Has only pitched 4 innings of work, 8 hits, 7 runs, 3 of which were earned, 5 strikeouts, 7 walks. So Rosario will get the start here this afternoon. Beautiful day here in Fort Lee, 62 degrees. Plenty of sunshine here, no threat of rain in the forecast for today's matchup. These two teams from different divisions in the Big North Conference. Teaneck out of the Big North National Division, where the Highwaymen come into play today, 5th out of 6 teams in that division. The top team is Northern Valley Old Tappan. They're 7-1 in the division. Their only loss this season came against this Teaneck Highwaymen team. So again, while Teaneck has some losses that you maybe think are head scratchers, they also have some very high quality wins. Fort Lee's going to be in their home white uniforms here today. White tops, white pants with a black helmet and black hats. And Teaneck is going to be in their road black uniforms with white numerals, white pants. And we are moments away from the start of today's ball game. Starting lineup for Teaneck is going to be Justin Meyer, the center fielder, leading off. Sean Stanley, the designated hitter, hitting second. Gabe Castro, the shortstop, hitting third. Aiden Vargas, the first baseman, hitting fourth. Marcos Castro, the second baseman, hitting fifth. Alexis Delgado hitting sixth and playing in right field. Darlin Arias will hit seventh and play third. Abdiel Ventura will hit eighth and play in left field. And hitting ninth and doing the pitching, Here is Jack Daniels. So about to get to our first batter of the day on this Cinco de Mayo. 7-8 Teaneck taking on 3-11 Fort Lee. As Rosario will face Justin Meyer hitting from the right side. And the first pitch is a strike against Meyer as Rosario gets ahead of him 0-1. Meyer is slugging at a .455 batting average on the season. 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 20 hits. As Rosario bounces that one in the dirt, 1-1 the count. Meyer went 1 for 4 with a walk and a run scored in their most recent win against Teaneck on May 4th. 1-1 looping curve, just missed high outside the zone, 2-1. Two-one is grounded, and it's going to get through the infield into left field for a leadoff single for Justin Meyer. So Meyer reaches base safely as the first hitter of the game. Leadoff man is on for Teaneck to begin the top of the first inning. That was a hard-hit ball that got its way past the infield, with the third baseman and the shortstop, neither one able to make a play. Second hitter of the game is Sean Stanley, the designated hitter, as pickoff attempt is not in time. Stanley is senior, .425 batting average on the season, 10 RBIs, 17 hits on the year. Runner is off, and the throw down to second is not going to be in time. Now they're going to say that he came off the bag, and still holding on to the possession of the baseball was Fort Lee. So that time, Meyer is retired for the first out of the game. Looked like Meyer was going to get it in safely as it was a high throw from catcher David Herr. But he slid off the bag, and then the infielder still held possession of the baseball. Lee swiped the tag on him, and there's one away here to begin the top of the first. There's a fastball strike for Rosario. Sean Stanley yesterday went 3 for 5 with an RBI against Teaneck. Also was the starting pitcher, went 5 2/3 innings of work on the mound. Did not pick up the win, was a no decision for him. So 1 out, nobody on here. Scoreless in the top of the first inning. Stanley batting from the right side. Fouls that into the backstop. Fort Lee defense, Perez in left, Katayama in center, Mansilla in right. Brito doing the work down at third base today. Lee at shortstop, Greenberg at second, Senator at first, and David Herr getting the start as the catcher behind home plate. Missed to the outside, well off the plate that time. 3-2 count against Sean Stanley. Justin Meyer, the leadoff hitter, singled to left field, but then was thrown out trying to steal second. 1 out, nobody on here. Full count upcoming. Going to be a fly ball to right field. Mansilla will get underneath that for the second out of the inning. 2 away with no one on base after the fly out to right field. That'll bring up number 24, Gabe Castro, the senior. .432 batting average on the season. Has driven in 12 runs, collected 19 hits. Went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored yesterday in the win against Teaneck. Hot shot. That got past the third baseman. That'll go down the left field line. Misplayed by Perez in left field. Castro will make the turn. He'll get to second. He's looking for more. He's on his horse getting down to third base. Without a throw, he'll slide in safely. And Teaneck now has another runner on in this inning. With 2 outs in the inning, it's going to be a runner at third base after Gabe Castro was able to line that down the left field line. Probably was going to be a double for Castro, but Perez then bobbled it. That allowed that extra base. We'll officially call it a triple there for Gabe Castro. And that brings up the fourth hitter in the Teaneck lineup. It's Aiden Vargas, the first baseman. Vargas, a senior, 368 batting average on the season, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs. So certainly some power in his bat. As soon as I say that, he launches one sky high, and that is over the fence, gone, goodbye. That was a moonshot of a home run. Aiden Vargas' 4th home run of the season, and that was the longest home run we have seen here at the Sugarman Sports Complex in the last couple of seasons of broadcasting these games. That was a no-doubter, launching that one to straightaway center field. And Teaneck has taken a 2-0 lead here in the top of the first. The way that sounded off the bat, you kind of knew that that was due to be a home run. It was just a case of how long that measurement would be. And that landed on the fly past the 30-yard line. That is deep straightaway center field. Well past the fencing behind Katayama in center. So after Rosario had nobody on with 2 outs, he gives up a triple to Gabe Castro and then a 2-run homer to Aiden Vargas. That brings up Marcos Castro, the second baseman. Marcos Castro setting this one deep. Perez gets there in time to make the play in left center field to limit the damage to only 2 runs. But the Highwaymen produce with 2 outs in the inning. A deep straightaway center home run by Aiden Vargas, the difference so far in this one. First at-bats upcoming now for Fort Lee as we head to the bottom of the first, as you're watching all the action in the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Two nothing start to this game for Teaneck. As now Jack Daniels heads to the mound. The freshman, who has 14 strikeouts on the season and a 0.70 ERA. Going to be taking on this Fort Lee lineup that, again, coming off 2 wins, 20 runs scored in the last 2 wins. And Marcus Lee leading things off for the Bridgemen. Sophomore shortstop has been electric for Fort Lee in the last couple of games. As he goes, the rest of the team goes. Lee was outstanding. He rarely committed any outs against Dwight Morrow. He went 7 for 9 in those 2 games against the Maroon Raiders. Grounds it down to third base. Too hot to handle for the third baseman. And Lee will lead off the game with a leadoff single for Fort Lee, so he continues to be red hot at home plate. Lee is on with the first hit of the game. Arias tried to stab at it down to third, but it got underneath his glove and into left field. Brings up Luke Senator, the first baseman here this afternoon. Senator coming off a 1-for-3 performance with a run scored in the last game on May 3rd. Senator was faking at the bunt, the throw down to second base, swiping the tag, and it is in time. So both teams had their leadoff hitters get on, and then both were thrown out trying to steal second base. What a throw there by the catcher, Vasquez. And then the tag was quickly administered by Marcos Castro, the second baseman. So Lee is retired for the first out of this bottom of the first inning. Curveball breaks inside for a strike. As Senator, again, it looked like he was going to be trying to maybe offer at it, maybe a sacrifice bunt to get the runner over to second base, but could not connect on that first pitch. That led to the caught stealing. As Daniels missing low to the outside. Teaneck as a team trying to get back to 500 on the season for the first time since April 6, when they were 1-1. They had that rough start to their season that saw the Highwaymen win only one of their first 6 games, slashing foul on that hit to the side of the foul line down the left field line. They began their season 1-5, but since that point, they've righted the ship and have gone 6-3 in their last 9 games. It's amazing what great pitching will do for you. It'll keep you in every game, and that's what Teaneck's been able to do in their last 3 games. Despite not scoring more than 4 runs in any of those games, they've picked up 3 straight wins. As that missed to the outside. Marcus Lee led off the game with a base hit to left field. Senator trying to pick up a hit of his own after Lee was thrown out trying to steal second base. But he swings at that outside corner and comes away empty. 2 outs in the inning now with no one on base for Fort Lee, batting here in the bottom of the first, down 2-0. First strikeout of the afternoon for Daniels. That'll bring up Keizo Katayama. Katayama, the senior, will pop that one into the glove of Arias down at third base for the third and final out of the inning. So after a good start to this inning with Marcus Lee leading off with a leadoff single, he was thrown out trying to steal second base. Senator struck out, and Katayama popped up to third base. We head to the top of the second. Still a 2-0 lead for Teaneck. We head to the top of the second inning, 2-0 lead for Teaneck. Highwaymen collected 3 hits in that first inning. A single by Justin Meyer, but then he was thrown out trying to steal second base. Gabe Castro legged out a triple, and then the 2-run homer by Aiden Vargas. We'll bring up the 6th place hitter in the lineup, Alexis Delgado, the right fielder, to lead things off here to begin the top of the second against Franco Rosario. First pitch swinging and looping that into shallow left field for a base hit. Alexis Delgado, the sophomore, who's hitting .387 on the season, gets another base hit to his name, and for the second straight inning, Teaneck leads off the inning with a base hit. Now 4 hits in this game for the Highwaymen. That'll bring up Darlin Arias, the senior third baseman. Arias is hitting .229 on the season. Was hitless in 4 at-bats yesterday in their win against Teaneck after a pickoff attempt over to first base was not in time. As that pitch missed a little too high. Again, another pickoff attempt, trying to keep that runner close to the first base bag. Right-hander sets and fires, as that is fouled off. Arias hitting 7th in the lineup here. Will be followed by Ventura and Daniels, hitting 8 and 9 at the bottom of the order for Teaneck. The throw not going to be handled cleanly by the catcher. Still popped out of his crouch to throw down to second, but he's not going to be in time as Delgado easily swiped that second base. Stolen base for Delgado gets him down in a scoring position with nobody out here in the top of the second. There was no chance for Fort Lee's catcher David Herr to make a clean throw and produce his second throw out at second base. That one is popped up down the left field line, ranging over Perez to take a look, and that's going to bounce fair. They're going to roll around as Perez was slowly going to it. I don't know if he was thinking that that was foul. They are motioning that that is a foul ball, as Teaneck was rounding the bases. I don't know why they're saying that. Oh, they're going to say that is a ground rule double. So the runner is down at second base after it looked like he was making the turn to then go into third and was about to be thrown out. Kind of interesting with that, everything transpiring. Perez really stopped what he was doing. The way that he did that in left field, it kind of made us believe in our vantage point above left field that that was going to be a foul ball. Instead, it just kept on going and was deemed to be an RBI double there for Arias. So a 3-0 lead now for Teaneck. They deem that to be a ground rule double as that curveball floats in to the zone for a strike against Abdiel Ventura, the left fielder. Ventura, senior, was also hitless in 4 at-bats yesterday against Teaneck. Another extra base hit so far for the Highwaymen, as that pitch missed low to the outside as well for a ball. So a triple for Castro in the first inning, a 2-run homer by Aiden Vargas. Now an RBI double by Darlin Arias here in the second. 5 hits already for Teaneck, with nobody out here in the top of the second. Here's another line drive. Perez breaking in to make the putout. He'll try to throw behind the runner at second, but getting back in time safely was Arias. So Ventura lines out to left field. First out of the inning for Teaneck. That'll bring up the pitcher, Jack Daniels. Daniels is a freshman, 240 batting average on the season, 6 hits, 5 runs scored. Was 0 for 3 yesterday in the win against Tenafly. Rosario missed on the inner edge of the plate. That got away from the catcher, and diving headfirst safely into third base was Darlin Arias. Gets that extra base, and he's now down at third with only one out here in the top of the second. Teaneck already out to a 3-0 lead. They have not scored more than 4 runs in a game since April 21st when they defeated Ridgefield Park 12-9. The team that really just relies on their strong pitching and opportunistic hitting, but so far in this game, they've used a little power in their bats. Fort Lee trying to strand that runner down at third. There's one out in the inning here. Rosario missing high. 3-1 the count in the favor of Jack Daniels. Again, he's the 9th hitter in this Teaneck lineup. Freshman not really known for his bat, known more for his pitching. Rosario trying to hunker down and get back in this at-bat. The 3-1. That hit the outer edge of the strike zone to load up the count at 3-2. Big pitch there for Rosario. Justin Meyer, the center fielder, the leadoff hitter, who's 1 for 1 today, waiting on deck. Here's the 3-2. There's strike 3 called. So Daniels took a couple of pitches on the outer edge of the strike zone, and he'll go down looking. First strikeout of the game for Franco Rosario. There's 2 away now here in the top of the second inning. Brings up Justin Meyer. Meyer had a hard-hit single to left field back in the first inning, but then was thrown out trying to steal second. Meyer was trying to go opposite way, ricocheted that into the back of the cage. Now 0-1 count against him. Meyer was 6 RBIs on the season for the Highwaymen. 21 hits on the year after collecting another hit earlier here today. Time is called and granted to Meyer, hitting from the right side. Meyer, another ground ball, this time handled by the third baseman Brito. Will throw over, drawing the first baseman off the bag, but he slaps the tag in time as Senator gets that third and final out of the inning. So Teaneck will manage to produce one more run on an RBI double by Darlin Arias. We head to the bottom of the second, 3-0 lead for Teaneck as you're watching Fort Lee Baseball on YouTube. 3-run lead for Teaneck as Fort Lee getting back to home plate here to bat in the bottom of the second inning. In the first inning, Marcus Lee led off the charge in the bottom of the first with a base hit, but was thrown out trying to steal second base. And then Jack Daniels finished off the inning with a strikeout and a pop-up to third. That'll bring up Franco Rosario, who's in the cleanup spot here today for Fort Lee, batting fourth, trying to help his own cause out. Rosario, the junior, went 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 walks in their last win against Dwight Morrow on May 3rd. As that's taken for a low strike, as Daniels gets ahead of the count, 0-1. Rosario went 2 for 6 in the 2 games against Dwight Morrow. 2 RBIs, a double, and 2 walks. Another nice pitch there, right at the kneecaps to quickly work to an 0-2 count. Freshman winds and delivers. Curve just broke a little too high outside the zone. Again, this freshman for Teaneck, a 0.70 ERA so far this season. 15 strikeouts to his name in limited pitching opportunities. Fastball just missed on the outer edge. That pitch missed on the outside as well, running the count full here for Rosario. Three-two, missing low, and Rosario will earn himself a leadoff walk to begin the bottom of the second inning. Second consecutive inning that Fort Lee has had the leadoff runner get on safely. First walk surrendered in this game by Daniels. That'll bring up Jack Dorcom, the DH. Dorcom was hitless in 1 at-bat against Dwight Morrow on May 3rd. There's going to be another strike after he was trying to shuffle out of the way outside the batter's box. As Daniels working quickly, missing that time on the 0-2. Fort Lee now up to third place in the Big North America Division after those back-to-back wins, their last 2 games against Dwight Morrow. Lofted over the top of the glove of the third baseman. Arias went full extension, might have hit the lip of the glove, but that now allows the first 2 base runners to reach safely here to begin the bottom of the home second inning, as Jack Dorcom produces the second hit of the game for the Bridgemen. Runners at first and second with nobody out here for Brandon Brito, the third baseman. Brito coming off a 1 for 3 performance on May 3rd. Contributed a double and 2 RBIs in the win against Dwight Morrow. Also had a base hit, 2 runs scored, and a walk in the win here at Sugarman Sports Complex against Dwight Morrow on May 1st, earlier in the week. So now Vasquez, the catcher, trying to settle down his pitcher, as Daniels has given up a single, also allowed a leadoff walk to Rosario after getting ahead of the count early against him. That pitch sailed too high. 1-0 the count for Brito. Brito proved to be the winning pitcher on Wednesday against Dwight Morrow through 3 innings. Gave up 3 hits, no runs. There's a strike. Number high against him. Not a big lead off the second base for Rosario. As Gabe Castro trying to keep him as close as possible to the bag. Big hole between short and third. Breaking pitch missed high. Rito comes away empty after trying to track down that fastball. And runners at first and second, nobody out, bottom of the home second inning. 3-0 lead for Teaneck. What a nasty breaking pitch there. That was the ultimate knee buckler as Burrito was backing off thinking that was sailing high, but it broke very late and into the strike zone. Second strikeout of the afternoon for Jack Daniels. There's one away here in the bottom of the second. That'll bring up Ruben Mancilla, the right fielder. Senior went 1 for 4 against Dwight Morrow on Wednesday after going hitless in 3 at-bats here at home on Monday. Very late swing that time. 0-1 the count. Miss on the outer edge. Daniels already in this game. No runs, giving up 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, and 1 walk. First 2 reached safely against him here in the second. Wortley trying to make a little dent against his pitching plan. That one's fouled off. Rolled foul to the first base side after Vasquez, the catcher, got it back. Well, they're going to say that was a wild pitch that went over and off of the catcher. That was not a swing, so that advances the runners down to second and third, respectively. So again, Vasquez will take that time to try to walk it out to the mound and settle down Daniels, who's a little amped up here. So a prime scoring opportunity now for Fort Lee with runners at second and third, 1 out in the inning here in the bottom of the second. Curveball hit the upper edge of the strike zone. Strike 3 called. That seems a little high even from our vantage point deep in center field. But Daniels the beneficiary of that high strike. Second consecutive. Called third strike looking. Mancilla is retired. Now there's 2 outs and a pathway out of the inning for Jack Daniels. Max Greenberg, the second baseman for Fort Lee, will step in. That pitch got away from the catcher. Fort Lee electing to try to score from third, and that is easy pickings. The Bridgemen thought that there was a little glimmer of hope of trying to get away. As the ball did not get that far away from the catcher, they tried to score from third and manufacture their first run of the game, but easily Vasquez picked it up, tagged out the runner, and that ends that second inning scoring opportunity for the Bridgemen. We head to the top of the third, a 3-0 lead still for Teaneck. Top of the third inning, the visitors on top by 3. Teaneck scoring twice in the first, once more in the second. First ball swinging, popping that one down the right field line, but that will hook into foul territory. Sean Stanley, the designated hitter, number 15. Second at bat for him. He's 0 for 1 in this game after flying out to right field back in the first inning. So Fort Lee had runners at first and second with nobody out in that last inning, did not produce a run. Had runners at second and third with 2 outs in the inning and tried to score on a pass ball from third base, but it did not get that far away. Had a great carom back into the glove of Vasquez, the catcher, who then tagged out Fort Lee's runner trying to score from third. Three runs on 5 hits in this game for Teaneck. Another pop-up. This is going to be playable for Greenberg, who settles underneath it at second base for the first out of the third. 1 away to begin this third inning. Brings up Gabe Castro, the shortstop. Castro's the man who really got things going for this Teaneck offense back in the first inning. He had that double down the left field line that was, I guess you would say, misplayed into a triple. Some generous scorers might have scored that as just a straight triple in the game. He came around to score eventually on the 2-run homer by Vargas. Teaneck 7-8 on the season. Trying to get to 8-8 overall with a win here on this Friday afternoon. Two 2-0 the count now against Castro. The dangerous Vargas still waiting on deck with 1 out and nobody on here. Castro pops that into the top of the cage. First strike against him, 2-1. Teaneck will be back in action tomorrow as they will play host to Glenrock. Curveball also fouled straight back, so Rosario doing a good job after falling behind initially in this count, 2-0. Battle back with a couple of foul balls as he looks to get a new baseball and have a 2-2 count against the hard-hitting shortstop, third-place hitter in the lineup, Gabe Castro. Pitch missed to the outside. Full count, 3-2. Raucous yelling from the Teaneck sideline and dugout. I think they were very excited with that count running full. Here's the 3-2. Castro, a towering pop-up to the left field side. Trying to range over to see if he can make a play was Lee as it was hooking back into play. That'll lead to a double. So it looked like the way that was going to be popped up, it was going to be at least a foul ball opportunity. Unlucky there for Lee and Fort Lee. It not only then flew back into fair territory, but Lee kind of overran it, could not make the play. And that's going to be another extra base hit for Gabe Castro as he gets into second base safely. 6th hit of the game for Teaneck. Here comes Aiden Vargas. Vargas had a blast of a 2-run homer to straightaway center field back in his first at-bat in the first inning. His 4th home run of the season for Teaneck. It was an absolute titanic blast. It was a no-doubter when you heard it right off the crack of the bat. 1 out of the inning, runner down at second base. A throw behind the runner, but Castro, not fooled, was already stepping and residing on the second base bag when Greenberg was trying to make a play from second base side. Fastball missed too high. Vargas, one of the senior leaders of this Teaneck side. Taken in tight for a ball. There's a strike in the inside corner. 3-1 the count now after Vargas was taken all the way on 3-0. Pops straight back, and now the count is run full at 3-2. 4 extra base hits already in this game for Teaneck as they bat here with a runner at second, 1 out in the top of the third. 3-0 advantage for the visitors. And Rosario missing low for ball 4. Surrenders that walk. Runners at first and second with still 1 out in the inning. It's the first walk of the game given up by Rosario, starting pitcher here today for Fort Lee. That'll bring up Marcos Castro, the second baseman. Flew out to left field back in the first inning. 0 for 1 this afternoon. Rosario starts him off with a strike. 0-1 the count against Castro. And a step off the rubber. That'll send Gabe Castro stepping back quickly to second base, making sure that he wasn't going to get picked off behind the play. Curveball is sent down the left field line. That's a fair ball. That's going to be trouble for Fort Lee. Perez will try to get to it. 1 run is in. 2 runs are in. And it looks like it's going to be deemed a ground rule double. If that's the case, then that's going to send one of the runners back to third base. So only 1 run will score on the ground rule double by Marcos Castro down the left field line. And Teaneck has scored for the 3rd consecutive inning. They've now stretched their lead to 4-0. RBI double by Marcos Castro. Drives in Gabe Castro. And Vargas will stamp and stay down at third. Alexis Delgado, the right fielder, stepping in now. Delgado had a single to start off the second inning. Eventually came around to score on the Arias double. Rosario bounces that one in the dirt, but because both runners were at second and third, no real opportunity after Herr got his body in front of it for Teaneck to think about advancing and trying to score on that wild pitch. As I mentioned, Teaneck has not scored more than 4 runs in a game since April 21st. Pop straight up into the backstop for a foul ball. After the leadoff man was retired on a pop-up, we've had a double, a walk, and a double here for Teaneck in this top of the third. Bounce in the dirt. That's going to be another ball. Outside of the two-run homer to straightaway center field, most of the hits for Teaneck have been collected to the left side. And Rosario will miss to the outside, and that's going to be another walk in the inning. His second walk surrendered. That will load the bases full of Teaneck Highwaymen. Now it's going to be a meeting of the minds at the mound. We'll see if this is just going to be a talk or if this is going to be a substitution made by Fort Lee. So a bit of a pickle here for the Fort Lee Bridgemen. They trail 4-0 in this game. Again, the last four hitters have reached base safely for Teaneck, all with one out in the inning. Gabe Castro started off with a double. Then Aiden Vargas drew a walk. Marcos Castro had an RBI double. And Alexis Delgado has now drawn a walk. Brings up Darlin Arias, the third baseman. He produced an RBI double in his first plate appearance in the second inning. He's 1 for 1. Arias pops that one again a mile high down that left field line. Hooks out of the facility and is deposited on the street. 0-1 the count against Arias. Nowhere to put him. Bases loaded here in the top of the third. Swing and a miss. Arias went down to a knee there, trying to get to that outer edge. That was a great pitch there by Rosario. Had Arias all fooled. So now 2 strikes and a chance for Rosario to maybe get a big-time strikeout here, get to 2 outs in the inning. Bounce that one in the dirt. Good job by her of chesting it down with his chest protector and keeping that in front of him. Rosario again delivers. That is grounded back foul. Still 0-2 the count against Darlin Arias. Who again came into this game hitting only .229 on the season. He'll step out and afford himself one practice swing before stepping back in from the right side. Prime RBI opportunity already here for the senior third baseman. Again, Rosario does not get Arias fishing at one well outside the strike zone. That was too close to take. It's right at the knees, and it's a call, third strike. Rosario does catch Arias by surprise there. That is a huge second out of the inning. Bases remain loaded, but now there's 2 away here in the top of the third. Second strikeout of the game for Rosario. Abdiel Ventura, the left fielder, 0 for 1 in this game. He flew out back in the second inning. Flew out to left field in that first plate appearance as Rosario missing the outside, 1-0. One run already home here in the top of the fourth. That one is driven on a line drive. That's going to go all the way over the wall for a ground rule double. And Teaneck will plate home 2 additional runs on a 2-run double by Abdiel Ventura, the 8th place hitter, with the bases loaded. It's a 3-run inning here in the third. And now the lead is 6-0 for Teaneck. 8th hit of the game for the Highwaymen, and yet another extra base hit at that. 6 extra base hits. So when they are connecting against Rosario, they are doing some big-time damage. That was the 3rd double of this 3rd inning alone. Brings up the pitcher, Jack Daniels, who's been staked to a 6-run advantage now. Batting with runners at 2nd and 3rd, so he could still continue to help his own cause out. Daniels was the first strikeout victim for Rosario back in the 2nd. As Rosario misses high. 3-0 the count against Daniels, with Justin Meyer, the center fielder, waiting on deck. Gets that strike on the outer edge. Makes this a 3-1 count. Daniels was in a similar circumstance back in his first at-bat. He swings and misses at what would have probably been ball 4. Now the count is run full at 3-2. Daniels took the last 2 pitches in that first at-bat and eventually was called out looking. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Rosario hunkers down after falling behind 3-1. Gets a couple swing and a misses and finishing off the inning with the strikeout. 3rd strikeout of the game for Franco Rosario. But Teaneck puts together a big inning there. 3 runs on the board in the top of the 3rd. It's a 6-0 lead for the visitors as we head to the bottom of 3. Six-run advantage now for Jack Daniels, the pitcher for Teaneck. As we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning, Max Greenberg is leading off for the Bridgemen after he was at home plate batting to end that bottom of the 2nd inning when the runner was trying to score on a wild pitch from 3rd base but was then tagged out before he could touch home plate. And Greenberg was actually hit by the pitch there and will take his base. That's going to be the third consecutive inning that has seen Fort Lee have their leadoff hitter reach base safely. Marcus Lee led off the game in the first inning with a single. Franco Rosario drew a walk to lead off the second. And now Max Greenberg reaches base safely, getting hit by a pitch. Brings up Emmanuel Perez, the left fielder, hitting ninth in the lineup for Fort Lee. Perez, first ball swinging. He's going to go shopping at the gap. That's going to roll all the way, potentially to the wall. That's going to score the first run of the game for Fort Lee, making the quick turn around third base, scoring easily as Greenberg, sliding headfirst into third base with a triple is Emmanuel Perez. An RBI triple for Emmanuel, as he was outstanding in their last game, 3 for 3 with 3 runs scored against Dwight Morrow. He jumped on that offering from Jack Daniels, split the gap in between the center fielder and the left fielder. It rolled all the way to the wall, and with that speed, Greenberg easily scored from first base, and Perez safely in at third. So the Bridgemen get on the board with that triple with nobody on, or with nobody out, I should say, here in the bottom of the third. And so work to be done as we head to the top of the order, and Marcus Lee. No hotter hitter in the lineup for Fort Lee right now than Marcus. Lee, with his leadoff single to begin this game, now has 8 hits in the last 3 games for Fort Lee. 8 for his last 10. There was a meeting of the minds between the infield and the pitching coach of Teaneck, trying to settle down Jack Daniels. Getting this approach as he fires that one in for a fastball strike. Fort Lee on the board, trailing 6-1 batting here. Runner at third, nobody out, bottom of the third. Lee lost that one for an RBI hit. That's going to go down the left field line. He'll take first base, his second single of the game. And another ribby for Fort Lee. They've scored 2 runs here, getting 2 runs back in the bottom of the third inning after Teaneck had produced 3 runs at the top of the frame. So Marcus Lee is just red hot now. 9 for his last 11. First ball swinging, popping that one up, Senator. Center fields, it's Meyer, ranges in for the putout. And that's the first out of the inning, 1 away. Senator is now 0 for 2 this afternoon. Brings up Keizo Katayama. Katayama 0 for 1, popped up to the third baseman back in the first inning. Keizo went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, 2 walks on Wednesday in the win against Dwight Morrow on the road. He was hitless here at home in their contest to win against Dwight Morrow back on May 1st. Did also produce 2 RBIs, though, and a walk in that game. Katayama quickly getting out in front of that one, lining it out of the complex and across the street, foul. Curveball missing low to the outside. Runner is off. The throw down is second, not in time as Marcus Lee slides in feet first to get that stolen base. Aggressive base running here for the Bridgemen. Trying to manufacture a couple more runs, not just hold themselves to the 2 runs they've already scored in this inning. Wortley had a flair for the dramatic in a rally effort against White Morrow here at home on Monday. They fell behind in that game 4-0 before they produced the 12 unanswered runs on their way to a lopsided victory. A 12-4 defeat of the Maroon Raiders. They also had to go to extra innings before rallying for a victory 8-7 in their last game against White Morrow. So Lee is down at second base as Katayama now with an RBI opportunity with a runner in scoring position. That's going to be a called third strike. Good pitch there by Daniels, battling back to procure that second out of the inning. 4th strikeout of the afternoon for Daniels. And after the first 3 hitters reached safely and 2 runners scored in this inning for Fort Lee, back-to-back outs for Jack Daniels. Franco Rosario drew a walk in his first at-bat. Takes that one high and outside, 1-0. Lee standing down at second base. Gabe Castro, the shortstop, trying to keep him close to the bag. Rosario whiffs at that offering. Daniels trying to limit the damage to 2 Bridgman runs. Rosario flails at that one, fouls it straight back, and now is 2 strikes against him. Marcus Lee is running, and he will easily steal third base. He even kind of startled Daniels there on the mound. I don't know if that's officially a steal or if that's going to be issuing a balk. But Lee got such a running start to that one. Even if it wasn't a violation, that was going to be an easily stolen bag, but it does not matter at all as Rosario swings and misses and strikes out to end the inning. But Fort Lee gets on the board as they drive in their first 2 runs of the game. Emmanuel Perez with an RBI triple, followed up by an RBI single by Marcus Lee, has pulled Fort Lee back to within 4 as Teaneck leads 6-2 as we head to the 4th inning of play. You're watching all the Fort Lee baseball action here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. New pitcher into the game for Fort Lee. It's going to be number 2, Emmanuel Perez. Perez is pitching to a 2.21 ERA this season. Comes in after beginning the game as the starting left fielder. You'll have to contend with the top of the order here for Teaneck as we go to the top of the 4th inning. As he misses high against Justin Meyer. Meyer is 1 for 2 this afternoon, singled to start off the game in the 1st inning. And then also grounded out to third his last time up in the 2nd. Chops that one down to third base. Brito will throw it over in time. Good put out there on a ground ball. Second consecutive time that Meyer has grounded out to third. There's one away to begin the top of the 4th inning. That'll bring up the DH, Sean Stanley. Stanley is 0 for 2 this afternoon. Flew out to right field in the 1st inning. Popped up to the second baseman Greenberg his last time up in the 3rd. Perez and Fort Lee desperately looking to get ahead of these at-bats against the Teaneck hitters. Trying to throw strikes as Stanley jettisons that one to the right side. That will fall in for a base hit. Mancillo was trying to range over, try to cut it off. Quickly, aggressively around second base, sliding into third base safely, feet first. That's going to be the second triple of the afternoon for Teaneck, and the Highwaymen again jumping all over Fort Lee pitching with another extra base hit. Their 7th extra base hit of the game. 7 of 9 hits in this one are extra bases. That brings up Gabe Castro, who produced the first triple of the game back in his first plate appearance in the 1st inning. Castro first ball swinging. Popped that up into shallow center field. Nice play by the shortstop Marcus Lee. Momentum taking him backwards. That's going to take away any chance of throwing at the runner who is tagging from third. So Stanley scores on the sacrifice fly by Castro. He'll get credited with the RBI. Another run home here for Teaneck. And the Highwaymen have stretched their advantage now to 7-2 with 2 outs and nobody on base here in the top of the 4th inning. So Teaneck has scored in every inning so far of this contest. Most runs in a game for the Highwaymen since that 12-9 victory against Ridgefield Park. Speaking of Ridgefield Park, they are sitting atop the Big North American Division standings currently, 5-0-1 in divisional play. Dumont in 2nd place, 5-1 on the season. Fort Lee in 3rd, 2-4. Dwight Morrow, 2-6. And Cliffside Park, 1 win, 4 losses, 1 tie so far this regular season. We'll see Fort Lee's arch rivals soon enough, as Cliffside Park will be playing against the Bridgemen next week, Monday, May 8th. Fort Lee will travel to Cliffside Park and then be back home here on Thursday, May 11th to take on the Red Raiders. As that's going to be a walk surrendered to Aiden Vargas. Vargas, who has shown off his power in this game with a 2-run homer back in the 1st inning, now has picked up his 2nd consecutive walk in as many at-bats. 3rd walk of the game now for Fort Lee pitching. That'll bring up Marcos Castro. Swing and a miss. Good pitch there by Perez on the changeup. And Castro out in front, expecting fastball. Perez missing too far outside that time. 1-1 the count. Pitch miss low. No chance to throw out the runner. Still a strong throw by her, getting it to the second base bag, but easily swiped by Aiden Vargas. Vargas is now down in scoring position. 7-2 advantage for Teaneck. 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. Perez bounces that one in the dirt to the outside. And missing to the outside, another walk given up here by Emmanuel Perez. Back-to-back walks to the last two hitters that he's faced. Still 2 outs in the inning, runners at first and second for Alexis Delgado. Delgado had a base hit back in the second inning, drew a walk of his own in the third inning. And Perez has been struggling at finding that initial strike to start off an at-bat against a hitter, falling behind repeatedly against a couple of these hitters that he's faced. There's a pop-up to center field. Katayama has room underneath it to make the third and final out of the inning. Teaneck plates another run home and stretches their lead back to 5. It's 7-2 as we head to the bottom of the fourth. Bottom of the fourth inning, Fort Lee trailing by 5 runs. They've trailed by as many as 6 runs so far in this contest. They scored their first 2 runs in the last inning in the bottom of the third, trying to keep the good times going as Jack Daniels remains in this game for Teaneck, about to start his 4th inning of play. Contending with Jack Dorcom, the DH. Dorcom had a base hit in his lone plate appearance in this game back in the second inning. As that's going to be a strike at the knees, 0-1 the count against Dorcom. Dorcom reaches out and once again gets a base hit. So the freshman has had a good afternoon here for the Bridgeman. He's 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. And for the 4th consecutive inning, as fate would have it, Fort Lee has had the leadoff runner reach safely against Jack Daniels. 4th hit of the day for Fort Lee as that brings up Brito. Brandon Brito went down looking on a called third strike in his first plate appearance as he takes that one for a strike. Went around, according to the home plate umpire. 0 for 1 so far this afternoon. Bounce to the dirt by Daniels. 1-1 now against Brito. Foul piece of that one straight back. Only one extra base hit in this game for the Bridgemen. That was the RBI triple by Perez in that last inning of the third. Other than that, it's been 3 singles. The difference has been the power in the bats of Teaneck here today. Swing and a miss as Burrito was trying to go after that curveball that broke low and outside the strike zone. 1 out in the inning now. 6th strikeout of the game for the freshman pitcher, Daniels. That'll bring up Ruben Mancilla, the right fielder. Mancilla went down looking with a strikeout in his first plate appearance in the second. That rise ball missing outside and up high, 1-0. Daniels getting a little wild there, bouncing it in the dirt. Good handle there by Vasquez, the catcher. Daniels missing wide that time. Another ball in this at bat. Runner down at first, 1 out here, bottom of the 4th. That pitch went almost behind Mancilla completely, and that will give him a walk to have runners at first and second with 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Second walk of the game given up by Daniels on the mound for Teaneck. We'll see how much longer the Highwaymen will stay with him. You've seen a couple times in this game Julian Vasquez, the sophomore catcher, go out to kind of cool down his pitcher, who might have been frustrated losing his location in his pitches. Now it's Max Greenberg with a chance to really put Fort Lee back in the thick of things in this game. Runners at first and second, 1 out. Greenberg was hit by a pitch back in the 3rd inning. Greenberg chops that one down to third base. Arias, the third baseman, the only play he could make was knocking it down and administering the swipe tag. That'll have 1 out procured in the midst of that play. If he had fielded it cleanly, maybe he would have had an opportunity at a 6-4-3 double play. But the fielder's choice will have now runners at first and second again, but with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Brings up Emmanuel Perez. Perez ducks out of the way, fearing that he was going to get plunked by that curveball that was well outside the zone. Perez is 1 for 1, had the RBI triple produced back in the 3rd inning. Hit one that rolled all the way to the left center field fence. Easily scored Greenberg from first. And Perez would eventually score on the RBI single by Marcus Lee. Fort Lee with 2 runs in this game, all of which came in that last inning in the 3rd. Trailing by a 7-2 margin here at home. They lost this matchup on the road a season ago, 8-0 against the Highwaymen. Perez could not catch up to the high heat there displayed by Daniels. That one is driven down the left field line. That's going to fall for extra bases. That's going to score 1 run as Perez has his 2nd extra base hit of the game, this time an RBI double down the left field line. And Fort Lee matches the 1 run in the top of the 4th inning with a run of their own here in the bottom of the 4th. So Emmanuel Perez now with his last 5 at-bats dating back to yesterday or last game on Wednesday. He's a perfect 5 for 5. And now with a triple and a double, and have played at home 2 runs for Fort Lee. Marcus Lee trying to follow suit and does. He'll score 1 run. Perez takes the turnaround third. The throw home, not in time. A 2-run single by Marcus Lee, who's a perfect 3 for 3 in this game. And Fort Lee right back in this ball game. A 3-run inning here for the Bridgemen. And now it is a 7-5 ball game. And it looks like the day might be done for Jack Daniels. So the freshman was not able to get through 4 innings of work here. Teaneck will go to their bullpen and make the change, as a resilient offense for Fort Lee is starting to click gear here. They've scored all 5 of their runs in the 3rd and 4th innings. As we head to the pitching change, we'll be right back after this as you're watching all the baseball action here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. New pitcher into this game for Teaneck is the junior, Nick Hernandez. Was an 8.84 ERA, 9 strikeouts on the season. He's going to be taking on Luke Senator, the first baseman, who's 0 for 2 this afternoon. He fouls that, rattling it into the top of the backstop. And there is no conceivable way right now of getting out Marcus Lee, the leadoff hitter for the Bridgemen. 3 for 3 in this game, 3 RBIs, 3 singles, and dating back to now his last 3 games, 10 for 12 in his last 12 at-bats. He's a stolen base threat standing down at first base. That pitch missing on the outside. So Teaneck was up at one point in this game 6-0, and it looked like they were cruising to maybe a shortened mercy rule game. But credit the play of Fort Lee. They have fought back. They scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 3rd and have now put up a 3 spot here in the bottom of the 4th. Senator taking all the way that time for the strike. Senator lays off that pitch. Fort Lee looking to swipe another stolen base, and they do. Marcus Lee slides in safely. Marcos Castro, the second baseman, had to range up high and elevate just to make sure that that throw did not get into center field and allow Lee to make the turn from second and maybe head down to third. Lee again thinking about going. That's going to be a ground ball chopped down to Arias at third. Throws across the diamond in time for the third and final out of the inning. But 3 runs are produced for Fort Lee on 3 hits in that inning. It's now a 7-5 lead for Teaneck as we head to the top of the 5th inning here at the Sugarman Sports Complex in Fort Lee, New Jersey. To the 5th inning we go. Darlin Arias will lead things off. The 7, 8, and 9 hitters due up here in this inning for Teaneck. Arias' first ball swinging, will ground that on 2 hops down to Brito at third, across the diamond, but could not be fielded cleanly at first base by Senator. An opportunity there gone by the wayside for Fort Lee. 1 pitch, potentially 1 out to start the 5th. But a throwing error there by Brito will have Teaneck have their leadoff runner reach safely. That'll bring up Abdiel Ventura. Ventura had a 2-run double his last time up in the 3rd inning. He's 1 for 2 this afternoon. Pickoff attempts not over in time. As again, there's a leadoff runner on here to start the top of the 5th. Teaneck has scored at least 1 run in every inning so far this afternoon. A game that began at 4:15. As we're closing in on the 6 p.m. start time, or I wouldn't say start time, but not certainly close to being the end time here. This is a long affair between these two sides. Another pickoff attempt by Perez, as Arias is not venturing that far off the first base bag. So the 6 p.m. hour coming up, and we're not even seeing an out produced so far here in the 5th. Runner is off and running. Her with the throw down to second base, not in time, as it also ricochets into shallow center field. Arias did not know where the ball had gone and was still just managing to stay on the ground. After he was slow to get to his feet, he's credited with the stolen base. So now Ventura with an RBI opportunity here with the runner down at second and nobody out. There's a breaking pitch in for a strike on the outer edge. A healthy cut and a swing and miss at that by Ventura as he was trying to chase something that was upstairs. 2 strikes against Ventura now in this at-bat. Out into the backstop to stay alive. Fort Lee trying to put up their first goose egg of an inning against Teaneck. Highwaymen struck for 2 runs in the first inning with 2 outs in the inning. 1 run in the second, 3 runs in the third, 1 more in the fourth. Grounded again behind the cage. Ventura with a hard at bat here. He's the 8th hitter in this lineup. Arias, who reached on a throwing error, standing down at second base after stealing second. There's a fly ball down the left field line. Rosario, who's the starting pitcher, will get over into foul territory for the putout. A strong throw actually hit into Arias, who slid into third base safely. So that fly out down the left field line is a productive out at that for Teaneck after running from second and then sliding into third base safely. Runner at third with 1 out in the inning now for the Highwaymen after Ventura flew out to Rosario. First ball swinging with the infield drawn in. It's going to be a throw to home plate, but the catcher left it behind. Should have been an out produced there as Nick Hernandez was batting and grounded it into a drawn-in infield. The throw home was on points, but the catcher was just not able to wrap his hand around it in the glove, and that got away, and Teaneck will score another run here for the 5th consecutive inning. So officially, it would be an error on the catcher on that play. After, again, it was an infield grounder to the second baseman Greenberg, who threw to the catcher, and catcher dropped the throw. It probably would have been in bang-bang play, and most likely would have been an out at home as well. That would have been a huge out procured by Fort Lee in the overall scheme of this game. So a couple of errors costly here in this top of the 5th inning for this Fort Lee defense. Top of the order, and Justin Meyer. Pickoff attempt, and that time the pickoff is on time. Picking off Teaneck there at first base. Second out of the inning now. No one on base for the Highwaymen as they continue this at-bat with Meyer. Meyer 1 for 3 this afternoon. And a single to lead off the game, has to duck out of harm's way there. A pair of groundouts to the third baseman in his last 2 plate appearances in the 2nd and 4th innings, respectively. 8-5 lead for Teaneck on the road. Batting here again with 2 outs and nobody on base in the top of the 5th. Meyer gets underneath that one. Rosario getting on his horse, but that's going to be another extra base hit. It's going to be a ground rule double. Took a hard bounce just right in front of the wall and bounced over the fencing. So Meyer with his 2nd hit of the day. 10th hit overall as a team for Teaneck. And their 8th extra base hit. They have really walloped Fort Lee pitches here today. Their 5th double of the game. They have 2 triples and then 1 Teaneck home run. That's going to be another base hit. That's going to be a hit to center field. Gets underneath the glove of Katayama, will roll all the way to the wall. That's going to be another extra base hit. Here's the throw to third, not in time, as Stanley will slide into third base with the triple. That plates home another run, an RBI triple for Sean Stanley. Drives in Justin Meyer. 2 runs now home here in the top of the 5th inning. It is now a 9-5 advantage for Teaneck. That'll bring up the shortstop, Gabe Castro, as he takes it to the outside for a ball, 1-0. Gabe Castro led off the game with a triple in the 1st inning, had a double in the 3rd inning, popped up to shallow center field that was caught by Lee at shortstop, but that also brought in a run. So he has an RBI and 2 base hits in this game. Castro tried to check his swing, but he went around with that swing for a strike. Breaking pitch also missed wide and outside the zone. 3-1 the count. Runner down at third base in the form of Sean Stanley. Stanley with back-to-back triples in this game as Castro moves out of the way of that pitch. That's going to be ball 4. So runners at the corners now for Teaneck. Doing again as they've done throughout the course of this game. They've been so efficient in getting it done with 2 outs in an inning. Third walk of the game given up by Emmanuel Perez since he came in to relieve Franco Rosario, who was the starting pitcher in this one. Rosario gave up the first 6 runs of the day. Breaking pitch missing to the outside against Aiden Vargas. Vargas hit a monster of a home run to straightaway center field back in the 1st inning, a 2-run shot. Then has reached safely on his next 2 plate appearances with walks in the 3rd and 4th innings. Runners are going. No throw going to be made as Gabe Castro stole that one easily. Now Teaneck with runners at 2nd and 3rd with 2 away. Two more runs scored in this inning in the top of the 5th for Teaneck. Trying to go the opposite way. Vargas will send that one foul, as that'll ricochet off of someone's car in the parking lot at the far side. That is something that I've learned as a broadcaster over the years, certainly in high school baseball. If you can park as far away from the baseball field as possible. You don't know where any foul ball will eventually land. That was a screamer down that first base line. Hopefully anyone's car that got plunked is okay. Vargas will send this one on a line drive to right field. That'll take one carom off against the wall. That'll plate home 1 run and bring Castro home with another RBI. As actually, I think 2 runs might have scored on that one. As Aiden Vargas with another extra base hit for Teaneck. That drove in Stanley and Castro, so it is a 2-run double for Aiden Vargas. Vargas with a 4 RBI afternoon for Teaneck. As the Highwaymen had clear control of this game at 6-0, but then saw their lead cut to as close as 7-5 after a good offensive production by Fort Lee in the last 2 innings, but Teaneck has marched right back here in this inning. (11-5) and Teaneck looking for more. Stolen base and high throw. Stopped from going into center field by Greenberg, who backs it up. That pitch missed high as well. Perez struggling right now. Inning started with an error, a throwing error by the third baseman, then a fly out to left field, an error committed by the catcher on a throw home to home. And now another base hit for Teaneck. That's going to drive in another run. As Vargas makes the turn and will score standing up. RBI single by Marcos Castro. 12-5 lead now for Teaneck. Again, this is all done, which is those power bats really coming to life here today for Teaneck. As Perez missing in the dirt. Double by Justin Meyer. A triple by Sean Stanley. A double by Aiden Vargas. And a single here by Marcus Castro. The throw over trying to pick him off, but he got back in safely. Alexis Delgado is the 9th hitter to come up here for Teaneck in this inning. Castro is off and running and gets into second base safely. Ground ball gets underneath the glove of the third baseman. Rounding third and coming around to score, it's going to be Castro. RBI single by Alexis Delgado. Drives in another Teaneck run. They have feasted here in the 5th inning. A 6-run 5th inning here for the Highwaymen. Big time numbers being produced in this inning. 5 hits in the inning already for Teaneck. That's going to be a pop-up. The shallow center field. Katayama tried to range in. Made a diving effort at it. Just couldn't come up with it cleanly. Stretching out to the second base bag. In safely that time was Darlin Arias. And it's going to be runners at second and third. With 2 outs in the inning. So Arias is on base for the second time safely in this inning. He started off with what should have been a routine ground ball out to lead off the inning. He reached safely with an error. And now getting a double, a bloop double. Brings up Ventura. The bouncer in the dirt. Ventura flew out to left field in his first at bat here in the 5th inning. As that's a strike in the outer edge for Perez. 2-1 the count. Ventura had a 2-run double back in the third inning. It's one of the best offensive performances this season for the Highwaymen of Teaneck. They scored 12 runs in a win against Ridgeville Park earlier this season. This has now eclipsed that for their most runs right now in a winning effort. They did put up 13 runs in a loss against Old Japan this season. They lost 22-13. Now they're going to have a season high in runs scored in a game. 2 more runs scored there. The ball gets away. That's going to allow the runner to head down to third base as 2 more runs come home. The umpires conferring with one another. I think they're keeping Ventura down at third base. I might have been mistaken, but I believe there might be 1 out here all in this 5th inning. Our apologies if I've lost track. It's been that long of an inning. As Teaneck just continues to flex their muscles offensively here in the top of the 5th. Now putting themselves closer and closer in position for potential mercy rule game. Again, Fort Lee will have to have an opportunity to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning, but this was a 7-5 game heading to the top of the 5th. Nick Hernandez batting again. Hernandez came into the game for Jack Daniels. Reached in his first plate appearance. Eventually came around to score as well. He reached out an error. He had a ground ball that was hit to the second baseman, Greenberg, with a runner coming down from third. The real only play was made to catcher, as Hernandez looks like he got plunked there. They'll have runners at the corners now for Teaneck. With a ground ball to the second baseman then was off the mark in terms of not being caught by the catcher. And is that going to be the last pitch thrown by Perez after hitting Hernandez in the back? We'll try to sort everything out here. As Teaneck well in front, still batting here in the top of the 5th inning. Top of the order again for Teaneck. It's Justin Meyer who has a double earlier in this fifth inning. Ground ball down to the third baseman. Bobble. That's going to score another run for the Highwaymen, and Teaneck will also be safe down at first base. So the Highwaymen are in position now with this huge top of the fifth inning to have this game end if they could finish off things in the bottom of the fifth inning against Fort Lee. Just an overall onslaught here of the top of the fifth. New pitcher of record here for Fort Lee is Jack Dorcom, who's coming in, the third pitcher. Franco Rosario started off the game. Emmanuel Perez came in the second, and now the third pitcher is Jack Dorcom. As that one is into the outfield. Again, Katayama trying all with the effort, just couldn't come up with the ball. That's going to score another run here for Teaneck. And another extra base hit. That time the hit was produced as wasn't even aware that there was a pinch hitter. It's Julian Vasquez, who's been the catcher in this game, but has not been hitting. He was in that flex position, and he got the double there, and now it's runners at second and third. Dorcom throws a strike there against Gabe Castro. Best offensive performance of the season by far for Teaneck. And they're not done yet. Perez will throw that in as he ventures back out to left field where he started in this game. RBI single for Gabe Castro. Brings up Aiden Vargas. So Teaneck, it looks like here, fans, on their way to extending their win streak to 4 in a row at this point in the season. As they try to get back to 500 on the year, it's 7-8 record for the Highwaymen. Highwaymen and the Bridgemen taking on each other here today. Long afternoon of baseball so far here in Fort Lee. Game almost 2 hours long here and still not through the top portion of the fifth inning. Aiden Vargas with 4 RBIs in this game for Teaneck. Vargas, what a rip shot down the right field line. Another run will score past home plate. Another extra base hit for Aiden Vargas. He's got a pair of doubles, a home run. Now 5 RBI performance this afternoon for number 13. The senior is having himself a ball game. And Teaneck is kind of going station to station with their base running too. That could have easily scored another run. Showing some sportsmanship here and not trying to tack things on, but they're not going to take any mercy here on Fort Lee. They're just going to keep on pounding away. It's up to Fort Lee to procure that final out. There's another long fly ball, twisting and turning and making the play in deep right field for Mansilla and Fort Lee. But Teaneck puts up a monstrous top of the fifth inning. We head to the bottom of the fifth and last licks here for the Bridgemen before calling this one adieu. So Fort Lee now most likely facing their final 3 outs of the game after that huge inning for Teaneck. Blew open this game after it was a 7-5 advantage for the visitors heading into the top portion of the 5th inning. Ray Nakajima will get an at-bat here, the junior. Leading things off for Keizo Katayama, who is due up to start this inning. It's ground ball, gobbled up to the third base side. Nice play there defensively by Teaneck to produce that first out of the inning. New third baseman in the game was Josh Cruz, and Cruz made it look rather easy, fielding that slickly off of the turf to retire Nakajima for the first out of the bottom of the 5th. The DJ Chirore, the senior, will get a chance to bat here. Again, with this game well out of reach, giving a chance for some of the reserves to get their varsity playing time. Hernandez still pitching. He came to the game relieving Jack Daniels, who was the starter for Teaneck. As that'll be another strike. Fort Lee will not have much time to lick their wounds as they'll be back in action here tomorrow, hosting Dickinson before heading on the road on Monday, May 8th at Cliffside Park, before coming back home to host Cliffside Park on May 11th. We'll be broadcasting the sights and sounds of that game against Cliffside Park in our next baseball broadcast on May 11th. Hot shot off of the pitching mounds and maybe getting a sliver of the piece of the leg of Hernandez as well. So Traore will reach base safely here to begin the bottom of the 5th inning with 1 out. That'll elicit cheers from the Fort Lee dugout side. There's a strike fired in. Third consecutive pinch hitter to begin this bottom of the 5th inning for Fort Lee, the senior Christian Petretsky. First plate appearance as Hernandez missing low. So it looks like Fort Lee's 2-game win streak will be brought to an end here. But again, they're going to try to bounce back, taking on Dickinson. Now a balk is called against Hernandez, the pitcher. That will allow Traore to head down to second base for the Bridgemen. Fastball missing high against Petresky. Remaining home games this season for the Bridgemen: Cliffside Park on May 11th, Riverdale on May 17th, Cresskill on May 19th. There's a strike in the outside corner. We'll have road games at Cliffside Park, at Pascack Hills, and then at Lodi on May 22nd in their regular season finale. That pitch missing low, and when you have this much of an advantage in terms of the scoreboard, if you're Coach Apreda, you want your pitcher to throw strikes. Pitch to your defense if you have to. Don't try to chase corners here with such an advantage. And Petresky was fooled badly at that time in a swing and a miss, and that's going to be the second out of the inning on a strikeout. For Teaneck, their upcoming games, as I mentioned, tomorrow they'll be hosting Glen Rock, then they'll travel to Fairlawn on May 9th. They'll host Paramus Catholic on May 11th, travel to Demarest on May 15th, then have that turnaround game against the Norsemen on May 17th at home, before finishing their regular season on the road at Clifton on May 19th. Fort Lee down with 2 outs in the inning now. Jake Lee stepping in, the sophomore with his first plate appearance. Traore is going to be off and running. They're not going to throw down to third, and Traore will get a stolen base to his efforts. Teaneck looking for that final out of the game. There's a pop-up. Castro, the shortstop, ranging back, but he lets that one fall. Little miscommunication there. And that's going to allow Lee to produce an RBI single for the Bridgemen as they get 1 run here in the bottom of the 5th. So this game marches on here on a Friday afternoon, turning into early evening on Cinco de Mayo. Throw over, not in time. Brings up number 20, Paul Bonilla. Fastball hit the outside corner for a strike. Another swing and a miss and a strike called that time. So now Teaneck a strike away from ending this game here on the road. That pitch missed outside the strike zone. Runner down at first, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. And there's strike 3 called in the outside corner, and that will be your ball game. The final score here today for Teaneck, 19 runs and Fort Lee 6. So the mercy rule is put into effect, 10-run mercy rule after 5 innings. That shortens this game and finishes this one. Teaneck will finish off now this win on the road and move to 8-8 on the season. Fort Lee with the defeat will fall to 3-12 overall. And again, we'll be playing here at home against Dickinson, but our next broadcast of Fort Lee baseball will come next week as it's the rivalry matchup against Cliffside Park on Thursday, May 11th. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another edition of Fort Lee Baseball here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. For our camera operator, Renee Matisich, and our producer, Dimitri Nanis, I'm Dan Long saying so long from the Sugarman Sports Complex, and we'll see you next time here on YouTube.